Good evening and welcome to the Florida Wine Guy channel. Tonight we are making a gumbo using the Silva Hot Linguica sausage. Silva's award-winning linguiça is still made with the traditional Portuguese recipe that the company began with in 1967. Using a blend of wine vinegar, various spices, gives the sausage a little extra heat. Silva's unique hickory smoke processing has made this sausage one of their top sellers. The Silva Sausage Company is a family-owned and operated company since 1967. They produce products in small batches and use high-quality ingredients. Silva uses whole muscle meat, no secondary cuts, mechanically separated meat or fillers. Their carefully selected spices are custom created into blends to enhance every recipe. They craft sausages with tradition and care to have the best tasting sausages available for their customers. In addition, I'm going to be pairing the gumbo that I'm making with some of the Leaf wine from the JCB collection. It is a red blend, which is primarily Cabernet Franc. And that blended of that red wine is going to enhance this gumbo. So let's get started making the gumbo. I've already started my oil, and the good thing to making the gumbo is actually the roux. And to make a good roux, you're going to have a mixture of fat and flour. And in this case, I do some butter, some olive oil, with some flour to make my roux. I'm going to whisk that in there. And then it'll be an actual stirring process. So let's see what we got on this first go around. All right. And with the roux part, this is one of the most important parts of the recipe itself, is to actually get all that flour incorporated. I start with a whisk to begin with until I have to add more flour, and then I'm going to use my gumbo stirring stick that I brought back from Louisiana. It's a great little tool. If you got a big pot like I've got, it's definitely a needed tool to have. But I still need some more flour here, so it's not really starting to bind up yet. All right. And if you add too much flour, you can just add a little more fat, olive oil, butter. But the overall goal is to get that little slurry going in the pot. Right now, I'm almost at the right starting consistency. Okay, now I've got all my flour whisked in to it's kind of like a light paste in the pot, but now that that's done, I can start using the stick. You got to keep on stirring the roux though, because as the roux starts to heat up, it's going to start to turn color. Right now, it looks like a light blonde. It's basically the white flour mixed in with the butter and oil. But as this gets cooking, it's going to start to develop more character and more color. And the overall goal is to get it to a consistency of the color that you want it to be, but I like mine to be a medium to dark chocolate brown. So it's going to go through a couple of stages. It's going to go from this blonde color to a darker blonde to like a peanut butter and so on. But when we come back, we're going to go ahead and start going through the next steps of the particular recipe. So I'm going to continue to cook this for a while. This takes a bit, so I'll be right back. It's time now to start getting this roux completed. So I've gone through those stages where it started out really pale and then kind of went to light yellow and then to like an almond butter, then to a peanut butter. Now I'm into a really dark brown state. And this is where I usually stop, but it takes a lot of strength. You gotta have patience and love when you're basically building the roots. It's the building block of making a good gumbo. But in the meantime, while I'm finishing this off, I want to talk about the leaf wine that we're going to have with this. Now, the leaf property is a new part of the JCB collection, but actually in 1981, leaf was founded in Sonoma County by Chip Leaf. And having traveled through Bordeaux in the late 1970s, Chip came to believe what the locals had known for centuries, that through blending, you could create a beautiful, distinct wine with unique characteristics that are often very different from the varietals that the wine is actually made from. And over 30 years later, JCB is still dedicated to Chip's vision of making these unique blends. And for most of you that don't know about Bordeaux wines, Bordeaux has 6 primary grapes. And for consistency throughout year-to-year vintages, Chip as well as JCB usually use 5 of those primary grapes, and most of the elite wines are an equally blended 30 to 35% range of both Cab Franc and Cabernet Sauvignon, with the other portions of the wine coming from other varietals from Bordeaux like Malbec, Petit Verdot, and Merlot. So let's jump now back into this roux. So this roux is now ready. I need to add some stock to this. Don't worry about the steam. Just don't stick your face in there unless you want a real hot facial. Do my stock at room temp. It's even worse if you use cold stock. Now the stock that I'm using is a beef-based stock, this particular roux that I'm making for this gumbo. But you can use vegetable stock, you can use seafood stock, which I've used before in the past. It's just your particular preference. That's starting to look really, really good. Now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add some tomatoes. That's approximately 6 tomatoes cubed up and seasoned with a little bit of salt, parsley, and some chopped green chilies. Also get some more water. Because the roux in making gumbo provides that thickening portion that you're used to when you're having a good gumbo. All right, need some more water. Turn the heat down a little bit, down to a medium. While that's setting up, I'm going to move on to the next piece now. The next piece is going to be the actual Silva sausage that I'm going to do. So, in another skillet pot here, I've got a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of butter, add some garlic, diced up linguiça. I'm going to start browning this a little bit and get the linguiça to start releasing some of that yummy, juicy porkiness from the sausage itself. Okay, so that's cooking down. We'll come back for the next stage of this recipe. Now we've got the gumbo going very nicely here. In the meantime, while we're on this last break, I sweated down the rest of the Hot Linguica Silva sausage with some garlic, some black pepper, and then the Trinity. Now the Trinity for most gumbo cooks is celery, onion, and carrot. And I've got this in this nice pot right here. So the last step before we let this go ahead and do a long, slow simmer to finish out cooking is to start incorporating and adding all these items into our pot now. So I'm going to first start off with the Silva sausage along with these vegetables. I'm going to give you a little shot there. It looks so good. You don't have smell-o-vision here, but it smells fantastic. Okay. Put that to the side. And then the last thing that I add is a mixture of chopped bell peppers. You can do multiple colors like I have. You can stick with just green bell pepper. I like the color and all the different fresh peppers that are out in the summer season. So I use all of those. Some lightly chopped mushrooms. Fold that all into the pot. And the goal now is on a slow and low heat, probably between low and medium, just to get it up to starting to boil and then turn it all the way down low. Now I'm going to let this slow simmer the majority of the night. And you don't, as long as you have a big enough pot, you don't have to worry about it reducing down and burning as long as you have that heat down low. I start off with, this pot that I've got here now is about 2/3 full, so this can simmer easily 8 to 10 hours on low and not burn. And that's pretty much it for gumbo. So thanks for tuning in to the Florida Wine Guy channel, and we'll see you again soon. Cheers.